You felt it, that prickle on the back of your neck, the sudden certain sense that someone is staring at you. You turn around and there they are, eyes locked onto you, exactly where your instincts said they'd be. It feels almost supernatural, like a sixth sense, like you can somehow perceive a gaze pressing against your skin. But here's the thing. You have no eyes on the back of your head, no nerve endings that detect being looked at. So how could you possibly know? The answer is not magic and it's not a sixth sense. It's something far more impressive and far more revealing about the hidden machinery running underneath your conscious mind. Because your brain is doing something right now, constantly, that you are almost completely unaware of. Let's be clear about the science first, because there's a lot of nonsense around this topic. Careful experiments have shown that people cannot actually detect an unseen gaze through some mysterious energy. If someone is truly outside your field of vision and gives no other cue, you can't reliably sense them staring, so the mystical version is out. But that does not mean the feeling is fake. The feeling is completely real. It's just that the information isn't coming from magic. It's coming from a source so subtle and so fast that your conscious mind never even registers it. Your brain is picking up real clues. You're just not aware that you're picking them up. Here's what's really happening. The human brain has an extraordinary, specialized obsession with eyes and gaze. We are wired, from birth, to be hypersensitive to where other people are looking. There are regions of your brain dedicated almost entirely to detecting faces and tracking the direction of a stare. And this system is astonishingly good. It can tell from the tiniest sliver of information whether a pair of eyes is pointed at you or just slightly off to the side. The difference between someone looking at your eyes and someone looking at your ear is minuscule, and yet you detect it instantly and unconsciously. Evolution built you this way for an obvious reason. For a social animal surrounded by other animals that might be friend, rival, or predator, knowing who is looking at you is a matter of life and death. A direct stare can mean threat, it can mean attraction, it can mean a predator has locked on. So your brain devotes enormous resources to monitoring gaze all the time, whether you ask it to or not. Now here's how that produces the spooky feeling. Even when you're not consciously looking at someone, your peripheral vision is constantly gathering information, far more than you realize. You might catch at the very edge of your sight the orientation of a head turning toward you. You might register without noticing that a shape in your periphery has gone still and is now facing your direction. Your brain processes all of this beneath awareness, and when it adds up to a high enough probability that someone is watching, it doesn't hand you the evidence. It hands you a feeling, a prickle, an urge to turn around. You experience it as a mysterious sensation because your conscious mind never saw the clues, but your unconscious mind saw everything. And there's a second layer, a beautifully human one. Your brain is a prediction machine, and it errs heavily on the side of caution. When it comes to being watched, a false alarm costs you almost nothing. You turn around, no one's there, you feel briefly silly. But a miss, failing to notice a genuine threat staring you down, could once have cost you your life, so your brain is tuned to overdetect. It would rather warn you 100 times for nothing than fail to warn you the one time it mattered. This is why you sometimes turn around and no one is looking at all. That's not a failure of the system. That's the system working exactly as designed, firing on the side of survival. But step back and look at the bigger picture, because this is the real revelation. That eerie feeling of being watched is a window into an enormous invisible process running under your every waking moment. Your conscious awareness, the part of you that feels like the real you, is just the thin tip of a vast iceberg. Beneath it, your brain is ceaselessly scanning, calculating, detecting patterns, assessing threats, and reading the social world with a sophistication you could never consciously match. And it only interrupts you, only pushes something up into your awareness when it decides you need to know. Most of its work you never see. You just occasionally receive the alerts, dressed up as intuitions, hunches, and sudden inexplicable feelings. So the feeling of being watched is not a sixth sense, it's something better. It's proof that a huge portion of your mind is standing guard over you at every moment, reading 1,000 tiny signals you'll never consciously perceive, quietly keeping you safe, and tapping you on the shoulder only when it counts. You are being watched over constantly, but not by anyone in the room. You're being watched over by the silent, tireless part of your own brain that never stops paying attention, even when you do. If the idea of your unconscious mind running the show fascinates you, wait until you hear about the experiments showing your brain makes decisions several seconds before you consciously decide anything, raising the question of whether you're really the one choosing it all. That's the next video. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and thanks for watching.